If you've been wondering how you can use Pinterest, a free platform to drive more traffic and visitors over to your website and to generate more leads, sales, and clicks to your business, then this video is for you. Hi, my name's Shruti and I'm a Pinterest marketing expert. And not only have I gotten millions of monthly views to my own websites and grown a multiple six-figure business using Pinterest, I've also helped hundreds of other students do the exact same. So in this video, I'm going to break it down in 5 simple steps so that you can start leveraging Pinterest to drive traffic to your site today. Now, step number 1 is to build your foundation. Now, if you've ever thought to yourself, I don't know anything about Pinterest, like where do I even start? You are in the right place today, my friend. So let's start by doing these 3 simple things that you can do right away. Number 1, setting up a business account. Number 2, claiming your website. And number 3, optimizing your bio. Now, don't worry, I'm going to explain exactly what this means in a second. What happens at this stage when entrepreneurs get started on Pinterest is that they end up making one of these 3 common mistakes. They either create an account that is personal, which is not really optimized to be showing up for business, and hence they miss out on the potential to drive business from Pinterest over to their website or store. Number 2, they forget to claim their website or domain, which is basically the place where you're conducting your business, and hence Pinterest doesn't really know where to send the users that are showing up on your profile. And number 3, they create a profile that no one can discover. In particular, your ideal audience is unable to find you on Pinterest. So you're not really leveraging the exact strategy that you need in order to show up in front of the ideal audience. So here's what you need to be doing instead in order to correctly set up the right foundation on Pinterest. Number 1, you need to create an account with your business name and business photo or logo, where you are going to be able to use your own photo if you are, for example, a personal brand, a coach, or a consultant. Number 2, you want to be making sure that you are connecting your website as well as your social media accounts for Google and Pinterest to talk to each other and pass on search benefits. So unlike other social media platforms which don't really talk to each other, that's not really the case with Pinterest. You want Google and Pinterest to be connected so that they know exactly what's happening on one platform and using that benefit on one platform to increase your rankings on the other. And number 3, you want to make sure to include the top 2 keywords you want your ideal customer or audience to find you with. Let me take you through an example of Andy, who's one of our students who owns a women's fashion store. So as you can see, he's added his own business name and logo. He's linked his website popstreet.com, and he's included the top keywords his customers are searching for on Pinterest, such as swimwear, bikinis, women's fashion trends, etc. All right. So once you've got step 1 out of the way, the next step really is to master pin design. Now, if you ever thought to yourself that creating Pinterest graphics or pins is just too complicated, then you need to watch this step closely. Now, there are 3 elements of understanding pin design. Number 1, pin specs. So what are the specifications that you need to create pins with? Number 2, the actual design that you create. And number 3, how you upload your pin design into the platform. Now, pins are simply images or videos that you can create which are linked to your account that basically allow people to find you on Pinterest and get them back to your website or your store, right? So the most common mistakes that I see people doing at this stage when they start, creating pins is number 1, creating pins that don't really work for Pinterest. So maybe you're creating a square pin or a strange dimension or specs that doesn't really work on Pinterest. Number 2, designing boring pins that nobody wants to click on and that are missing any call to action. There are billions of pins being uploaded every single month on Pinterest, so why should someone click on yours? And number 3, also a really critical mistake that people make at this stage is not using keywords or not using the right keywords in order for your pin to be able to rank. So here's how you can make sure that you don't make these mistakes. Number 1, always create vertical pins with a 2:3 aspect ratio. The only exception here is when you are creating product pins, because those are going to be pins that are automatically going to be linked to your website. So there are going to be square pins or even different sizes of pins that are going to show up automatically. But when you're creating image pins specifically, you want to be creating pins with a 2:3 aspect ratio, which means that the width of the pin is 2/3 of the length of the pin. So it's a bit longer than it is wider. Not only this, you want to be spending time on creating the perfect text overlay for your pin or your call to action. Now, a lot of people forget to do this. They simply just put an image and they don't put anything else, and they expect people are just going to magically find that and click on it. Now, this can work if you have a really well-known product that people are already searching for. But if you have, let's say, a new product that nobody really knows what it is or what it does, you are going to need to give some information to your ideal audience to educate them about what the product or the content is leading them to. So why should someone click on this new product that they don't know anything about? Here's where having a call to action is really, really important. Not only this, you also want to be testing out different photo, font, and color combinations to see what works best. Now, even though you might want to stick to your brand colors, and a lot of people try to do this when they are on Instagram to have an aesthetic feed and all of that, Pinterest doesn't really care about what colors or images you're using as long as people are engaging with them and they are, generating clicks and views on your pin and are going over to your website and store. Because all that really matters is whether or not people are engaging with your content. And the best way for you to find out what type of pin is working for you is to experiment with colors, with fonts, as well as with different photo combinations. And last but not least, at this stage, you also want to be adding 5 keywords in the pin description that your audience is searching for. Now, up to 5 is the key thing here. You don't have to always add 5 keywords. You only should be adding keywords which are really, really relevant for your pin and that your audience is actually searching your content with. Okay, so let's walk through an example of what a good Pinterest design actually looks like. So here's my student Chelsea, who runs a travel and lifestyle blog. And as you can see, she has created a vertical pin, which is all about first-timers hiking tips you need to know. So she's made sure to add an aesthetically pleasing photo, which she has taken by herself. And she's also combined a really good and aesthetically pleasing color and font combination, which is really clear to read and can be seen on a mobile phone as well. Not only this, she has added a title which says Brilliant First Time Hiking Tips for Beginners, and she's also included keywords such as the best backpacking, hiking hacks for women, hiking hacks tips, and more brilliant hiking tips to ensure that the people who are searching for these keywords actually find her pin through these right keywords. So this is a good example for you to take note of in case you are designing pins and you're feeling like they're not really meeting the mark and something's missing. Another example is of my student Janki, who runs a home decor and product store called Home from India. And as you can see, this is an example of a product pin, which is totally fine if you don't have a vertical pin, because that is a pin that people would want to see in different aspects of. So when it comes to product pins, people are not just looking for vertical pins, they're looking for different pins and how the product looks like in different circumstances. So if you do have square pins, you can go ahead and use them as well. But what's really, really critical here is to make sure that it is a high quality image, which is making your product look really, really good. So maybe contrasting it with like a nude or a neutral background, and making sure that you have the right description is even more important for a product pin than it is for an image or a content related pin. So as you can see, she has added keywords such as boho chic, hanging elephants, handcrafting, nightstand drawer in your kids' room. So not only has she added keywords by which people might be looking for some boho products, but she's also added keywords by where they might be using it. So the functionality of the product is important as well. When you're creating product pins, you want to make sure that you're not just, putting the functions, the benefits of what that product is all about. So it's a red lipstick from Chanel or whatever, but you also want to be saying a red lipstick for a date night, or red lipstick for, with a black dress. So you also want to be thinking of all the different combinations that people might be using that product for. Okay, so now that we have step 1 and step 2 out of the way, the next step really is to understand Pinterest SEO. Now, when we talk about Pinterest SEO, what it really means is how can someone find you via Pinterest? So how can someone find you through Pinterest search? Now, there are 3 key things here that you need to keep in mind when it comes to understanding Pinterest SEO. Number 1, optimizing your profile. So the number 1 place where people can find you is the profile that you have curated for them, which is going to be a collection of your pins. And if that profile is not optimized, they're not really going to be able to find you or click through to your products. Number 2, how to optimize your pins. That's also a part of Pinterest SEO. And number 3, optimizing your boards. Now, there are 3 mistakes that I see people making a lot at this stage, and I want to walk you through how to fix them. So the number 1 mistake that I see people making is using Pinterest like any other social media platform, where they think that they can show up once a day and post any random image and it's going to get a lot of traction and likes, etc. That is just not true, because Pinterest is a search engine, so you need to treat it as such. Not only this, people also end up creating an account that is not really aligned with your business goals. So are you creating an account that you want your dream or ideal customer to find you with? Or are you just creating an account that looks cute to you and that you enjoy creating? And the number 3 really, really big mistake, which was also a common mistake made at the last step, and that is ignoring keyword research. Now, when it comes to having a long-term strategy on Pinterest, you just cannot not research keywords before you post your content. So the way that you can fix this is, number one, create pins and save them to your profile. And before you're doing them, ask yourself, what main search objective are you going to cater to? So what are people going to be searching for in order for them to find that particular pin or image or video that you're saving on Pinterest? And another question to ask yourself is, what 5 to 10 boards are going to represent your brand and business on Pinterest? Now, boards are essentially a collection of your pins, which can be thought of as albums or different folders that showcase what your business is all about. So let's say if you have a jewelry business, you can have boards like silver jewelry, gold jewelry, boho jewelry, vintage jewelry, and so on and so forth. Obviously, you need to be doing keyword research to meet your ideal client and understanding which boards are the right boards for your profile. And another question to ask yourself when you are trying to figure out and optimize for SEO is, how can you make the Pinterest algorithm understand what your website or business is all about? And the big hint here is to understand how keywords play into your SEO or Pinterest strategy. Maybe you're wondering, okay, Shruti, that's great, but where the heck do I find these keywords? So I'm going to share with you 2 quick methods with which you can find keywords. Now, there are more methods than this, but in the interest of time, I'm not going to go into all of those. We do share them in PINFLUENCER Academy, and if you're interested, you can go ahead and join that to get the step-by-step tutorials on how to join these keywords. But let me walk you through 2 of the methods that I personally love and love using and that are really easy to use for anyone. Method number 1 is just simply going on Pinterest search. So when you log into your account, you are going to go on the top and there's going to be a search bar where you can type in the keyword you're looking for. So as you can see, when you type in paper mache art, you come across different options like paper mache art sculpture, how to make for kids on canvas, sculpture artists, so on and so forth. So these are all different keyword ideas that people are searching for. Another way for you to look for keywords, specifically if you want to be creating video content, is to simply select videos on the right hand side of the search tab, and you'll have different options to go through like pins, profiles, etc. Just search for keywords for videos and you are going to be able to see a top row which is going to be auto-populating a lot of keywords that people are searching for specifically for video content. Now, not only is this relevant for video content, it's also relevant for image content. So make sure that you are doing both of these methods, using the method which is all about Pinterest search, like basic Pinterest search and the auto-populated suggestions, as well as the video pin search, in order to find which keywords might be the right strategy for your account. Okay, so now that we've covered 3 crucial steps, let's move on to one of the most interesting steps, which is growing your traffic. So we've talked about how to build your foundation and what are the key things you need to watch out for. We've talked about mastering pin design and how you can make sure that you're showing up in the right way on Pinterest. We've talked about understanding Pinterest SEO and how to look for keywords which are going to be the right fit for your account. Now let's talk about the specific things you can do to actually grow your traffic from Pinterest. So maybe you're wondering at this point, how does this all work? Like, how does this, whole thing really work? Okay, so to simplify exactly how traffic works on Pinterest, let me share with you a really simple graphic that will make it a lot easier for you to understand exactly how it works. So it all starts with your page that you want to promote. So it can be a piece of content such as a blog post, a podcast, or even a video like this. It can be a product page that you want to sell. It can be an affiliate link that you want to create, a pin to, or it can be a sign up page where you want to send people over to your webinar, to your opt-ins, or to your events. What happens once you have this page is that you create a pin, which is an image or a video graphic that is designed in a specific way to show up on Pinterest. Now, this depends exactly on what you're trying to create and promote. So the type of pin that you create is going to depend on the aim that you have with that pin. And next step is going to be uploading that pin on Pinterest. So this is where you're going to be optimizing for SEO, which we spoke about in the previous steps, using the right keywords. And once you have done that, your pin over time is going to start showing up on the Pinterest search feed, which is how, pinners or users on Pinterest actually find your products and ideas and content. So when your pin starts to rank in search, that is exactly how people are going to be able to discover you organically. And once people find you on search, they are going to click to your particular pin and they're going to click through to your website, which is where further monetization events can happen. So if you're a blogger, once people click through to your website and let's say you're running display ads, you can make money based on all of the views and the clicks that your ads generate. And if you are a product seller, this will then depend on how well you're able to convert, the customer that has come in or the potential prospect that has come in into a paid customer or client. Now, when it comes to growing your traffic, there's 3 things that are really important. 1, creating fresh pins. 2, leveraging community, and 3, repeating what works. Now, the mistakes that I see people making and that causes them not to get any traffic on Pinterest include 1, continuing to pin the same image over and over again with minimal changes, or not really using the power of communities and building your loyal audience. You just use it as a post it and forget it platform like Twitter, and that just does not help you get any traffic in the long run from Pinterest. And the third mistake that I see people making a lot at this stage is to work harder than you need to instead of working smarter and saving time. Now, when it comes to fresh pins, what's really important is that a new image is the only thing that matters for the Pinterest algorithm. Small changes in your logo, colors, font, title, or description do not count as a fresh pin. Contrary to popular belief, the most important thing that Pinterest looks for is an image that it hasn't seen before. So you want to be making sure that you're using a new image every time you want to create a fresh pin. When you reuse the same image with no countable changes, Pinterest considers this a duplicate pin. Now, a duplicate pin is one that Pinterest has already seen before, and hence it doesn't really give you the benefit of fresh content or driving fresh traffic to your account. Not to mention, when you repeatedly create duplicate pins over and over again, it can lead to your account being blocked or suspended in the long run. When it comes to building communities, what you need to keep in mind is that Pinterest is also moving towards video content, much like the entire digital marketing world. So if you are a creator who is not at all leveraging video content, you need to start thinking about creating it in order to start building a loyal following and getting more engagement on your Pinterest account. Leveraging video pins as well as idea pins, which are essentially pins where you can have a row of static images or videos that you share with your audience and that people can find on the top of your profile, is going to be really, really key in growing your traffic in the long run on Pinterest this year and moving forward. And when it comes to working smart, what you want to make sure is that you are testing your content in the long run. So it's not just a simple, post it and forget it kind of strategy. You do need to keep an eye out on your Pinterest account at least once every month to see what's working and what's not working, and then adapt your Pinterest strategy or your pinning strategy accordingly. What's important here is to use analytics platforms like Google Analytics or the Pinterest Analytics that you can find on your account, or even going over to Shopify or any other store analytics that you have access to see which of your pins are driving the most traffic, the most clicks, and the most sales to your store. Once you know which pins are, let's say, driving the most business over for you, you can then continue to recreate content which is aligned on similar terms and is also going to be bringing you more traffic, leads, and sales. So now that we have the traffic part covered, let's talk about step 5, which is all about automation, because I am someone who loves working smart instead of working hard, and I really love saving time. So my strategies do not include you spending 2 hours a day on Pinterest and doing all sorts of things. I ideally would love to teach you how you can just spend an hour a week on Pinterest and drive sustainable traffic every single day without spending more than that time. So how is it really possible to grow on Pinterest and to drive traffic with less than an hour a week? There are 2 key things that you need to keep in mind here in order for you to save time and still get results on Pinterest. Number 1, defining your pinning strategy. So how exactly are you going to pin, and where and what are you going to be pinning? Number 2, automating your pinning. So this is again very, very important if you want peace of mind and you don't want to show up every single day on Pinterest. Now, the mistakes that I see people making a lot at this stage include 1, being active on Pinterest whenever they want and not having any real strategy behind it. This doesn't really help you because you have to be active when your audience is active and when your content is most likely to be discovered. Number 2, not using smart features and tools to save time and automate your work. So many people are unaware of the tips that I'm going to share with you in just a couple of minutes, and they basically spend time every single day manually trying to create pins and saving them and doing all of the shebang for little to no results. And the biggest mistake that I see people make at this stage is to simply randomly copy paste a random person's strategy and wondering why that doesn't work for your business. Now, here's what you need to create, a winning pinning strategy. Number 1, you need to decide how many times a day you can pin sustainably. Now, you don't want to pin 20 times a day and then the next day show up once or disappear for a week and then pin again 100 times and then disappear again. That is just not going to help you. So just like on Google or on YouTube or any other place, having a sustainable strategy is super important. The same way on Pinterest, it's important as well. So you want to make sure that you are, starting out with a number that you can actually manage and that is actually sustainable. So let's say you start out with 2 to 3 fresh pins per day. You also want to make sure that you have the right boards to save your pins to. So where are those pins being saved to? So for example, if you're creating a pin which is all about silver jewelry, you don't want to save that to a board which is all about gold jewelry, right? That does not make sense, and that confuses the Pinterest algorithm further. So you want to be making sure that you have enough boards on your account and your profile to be pinning the right content to the right places so that the right people can find them at the right time. And number 3, you want to understand that every single account is unique and every single account needs a different strategy to grow that works for that particular account based on what your niche is all about, how much content you have, and what your goals on Pinterest are. So I'm going to share with you 2 ways in which you can automate and save time on Pinterest. You can use either the free Pinterest scheduler that comes within Pinterest when you're creating pins. And as you can see in the screenshot, all you need to do is upload your graphic or your video and add your title, your description, and your destination link, which is going to be the URL that you want people to click out to. And what you can do is, instead of publishing your image immediately, which is what most people do, you just simply click on publish at a later date and you select the time and the date that you want to select it to. Now keep in mind that this time is going to be your time zone. So for example, if you're someone who travels a lot and let's say you are in Europe 1 month and then you're in US the next, keep in mind that this account is going to be populated based on where you are. So you want to be making sure that you're posting at a time where your audience is most active. So for example, for me, I'm usually based in the Europe, or when I'm in Asia, then I have to pin at times which are going to be friendly for my European audience as well as for my audience in US and Canada. So I have to always be careful of which time I'm scheduling my pins to based on when my audience is most active. The number 2 way with which you can also automate, and that is a paid tool called Tailwind, which is an official Pinterest partner. Now, this is obviously going to cost you a certain amount every single month because it's a subscription-based tool, but this is a tool where you can actually save, for the next 2 months or 3 months pins, and you can have them going out automatically on your account every single week or every single day. Now, the key difference between the free tool and the paid tool is that the free tool is only able to schedule your pins for the next 2 weeks out, so 14 days. However, with Tailwind, you can schedule unlimited pins going forward. And that is a huge advantage if you're someone who has a large volume of pins, or you're someone who just wants to save time and quickly do things in a very organized manner. You don't absolutely need to have Tailwind in order to succeed on Pinterest, and this is something that I get asked a lot. You can absolutely just use the free method specifically in the first 3 to 6 months when you're creating your account and gaining traction in order to schedule your content. And I think if you're able to schedule just twice a month and have these, spurts where you can sit down twice a month in order to create your pins, that's more than enough for Pinterest. All right, so that brings us to the end of this video. If you would like to continue learning how you can leverage Pinterest to get even more traffic and sales to your business, then make sure to check out my free Pinterest traffic masterclass, which is going to be linked in the description box below. I can't wait to share more of my Pinterest strategies with you inside the class. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't done that already, and I'll see you in the next one.